Hello everyone, Luke Taylor here for another album review. Today we're going to review one of my favorite records of all time, In Waves! That's right, In Waves. I do want to say, firstly, I have the Super Deluxe Bonus Edition that has the Live at Chapman Studios stuff and then the making of documentary, which is very cool. But it also has extra songs. I had no idea until just recently, checking it out for this review, that there's two songs on here that the normie version does not have. Drowning in Slow Motion and A Grey So Dark, and those are fantastic. So I just want to say, take this review with a grain of salt. I've never heard the other version of this record. I've only heard this version. To me, this is the real version. This is the one you guys should be hearing. It's the best one. And this is the first record, first Trivium record I ever heard. It's in a time in my life when I was really into heavier music and I was just kind of like experiencing that heavier phase, and I wanted to try a bunch of different heavy bands and be more inspired as a musician and a guitar player. And I watched a bunch of concerts, live at Wacken concerts, and this record, I believe I remember Matt saying, because I've seen the performance a bunch of times, I believe Matt was saying the record came out that day. When they're doing Wacken. So how cool is that? Like, that's a way to launch your record. And I do think that made me love the band, because they had the Capsizing the Sea, dun 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 dun. What a cool thing to come out to. And there was just that big, they had the poster of, like, a big huge poster of that. I was like, it's very interesting. I don't know, it's like, it's artistic but it's interpretive. And a lot of metal bands that they were with at the time, they were just very specific, you know. But this was very interpretive, and I loved the dissonance. I loved their use of diminished. It was so interesting, and it was heavy. And I hadn't really had a lot of music with that tuning that they were using. I believe it was drop C sharp. I could be wrong. And just like their energy was awesome, their songwriting was great, and so I really got into this record. And then if I get into a band, I'll always go back one record, and then I hit Shogun, and I was like, and it's always, you know, from the moment I heard Shogun, it's my favorite record of all time. So that said, but this record is so amazing. This to me is the start of modern Trivium, like I like to think of modern Trivium, where they're kind of putting away all of the 80s and the 90s, putting away the kind of Metallica and Megadeth stuff. Putting away the kind of the enjoyment for pop punk and for kind of like young youthful metal. This is the mature Trivium. This is where they start. This is where they get into like all of the art and the kind of the inspiration and kind of the deeper themes. This is where they get into their more common tunings. This is just like, this is the start of everything, and I remember seeing them. I believe there was a guitar magazine with Matt and Corey and Yngwie Malmsteen, which is very interesting when you think about it, because in this record they're still doing all of the influences that they have, but it's a very mature contemporary effort for what was going on, and it holds up so well today. Colin Richardson production is just, it is so good. It's just like every note on this record, from the guitars, the bass, the drums, everything is perfect. And this is also the first record with Nick Augusto, and he was on Vengeance Falls, the next record, and then he left the band. But it was a huge departure, you know, because of the original drummer. It's like totally different style, totally different kit, a lot more technical as far as the kind of the death stuff and the more the blast beats. But this has so much like aggression, but it's so perfectly balanced. I don't think I've ever heard a record that has the kind of melodies that this has. They're just very Trivium. They're very like dystopian Trivium melodies, and the screaming is so well done. The vocals, it's manufactured in such a way that it's great ear candy, but it just really gets you, and it still says something to me, which is very cool. And I remember, I want to say it was Guitar World. It had to be Guitar World. There was a Inception of the End, and I want to say Built to Fall. Matt and Corey did some lessons, or it was just them and the lessons, and that enabled me to kind of really connect with them as guitar players and their harmonies and their solos. Excuse me. And Matt and Corey have very different styles of soloing, and then their riffs together are fantastic, and it was just super inspirational to me that you could do what they do. And that since this time, since 2011, they've easily been one of my favorite metal bands, the most inspirational. I've always looked to them for inspiration, and I've followed their career very closely since then. So I can't say enough about In Waves. It's just perfect. Every song in here is perfect if you have this deluxe bonus edition. If you don't, you're getting ripped off. Please get this if you don't have it. It's a much better experience. It is a little longer, but I feel that the atmosphere on here is so good. They were doing things that they'd never done before. Like, you can always ensnare the sun. That little, with the little, like the drums and the sitar, and that was super cool. I feel that, again, this is the beginning of the modern, mature Trivium, and there's things that they've never stopped doing that they started doing here, and that's really cool. I know that they wanted to go away from doing another Shogun. If you look at maybe the Crusade and Shogun, there's similarities between them, and then there's differences, but they just wanted to not do something like that. They wanted to do something that was completely different and very dystopian, and even dressed differently. There's a whole bunch of stuff that, if you know what I'm saying, you know what I'm saying. If you look at the band, you know, cutting the hair is a big deal. Different drummer, etc. You know, going back to the Gibson Les Paul and the Jackson V over the Dean guitars. I'm telling you, there's a lot of stuff here. It's basically like a lot of stuff here they started and they haven't stopped. They've just built on this foundation, and I really appreciate that. I really appreciate when a band knows what they're doing. They have a wholly realized concept. I can take it and just bite into it and chew it and eat it, and I'm like, this record has never stopped feeding me. That's the best way I can say it. You put this on today, it's got all of the great memories. It still just absolutely slaps. So if you haven't heard it, please get this version, and then you can hear them play it live in the cool Chapman concert thing. And you can also go back and hear like The Deceived and Ember to Inferno. The Ember to Inferno on here is awesome. That is so good, but also Down from the Sky. So yeah, really cool stuff. I hope you dig it too. And yeah, that's it for me. Please check out all my album reviews and check out my music as well. I have it here on the channel. So hope you have a wonderful day. See you later.